Dr. Jerome Adams is Wish TV's medical expert, but he also helped lead America's fight against the pandemic. His new book, Crisis and Chaos, is out today. I spoke exclusively with him about what these pages reveal.
And it's hard to really talk about war when you're still in the midst of it. I was almost forced into writing this book because I saw that we kept having surges. We kept having the same mistakes repeated over and over again. And that's really the central theme throughout the book, is that we changed the captain of the ship, but we keep charting the same course over and over again.
More than 3 years after COVID arrived in the U.S., America's former top doctor believes the federal government is still not acting fast enough to protect you from COVID or a pandemic of another kind. Jerome Adams says the answer in steering the ship is not found in politics. It's prioritizing health and the issues that plague the country separate from a pandemic.
Once you got sick, more people were likely to die if you were an American or in the United States. And that is because we have higher rates of obesity, we have higher rates of high blood pressure, we have higher rates of diabetes. And if we continue to fail to pay attention to those baseline health issues, we're going to continue to see the same terrible results no matter which disease we're presented with.
President Trump appointed Adams as Surgeon General 2.5 years before COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. The crisis would redirect his career from original passion projects and ultimately overshadow success celebrated prior to March 2020. He writes of becoming a scrutinized face of COVID's fallout amid a rapidly dividing society. His family relationships, reputation, health, and finances all suffered. Outside the obvious toll on lives and society, do you resent the pandemic?
We know that some of the biggest changes in a positive direction in health in this country have come during times of war and crisis. We have an opportunity to honor those million lives lost. And I say honor them because we can use them to save exponentially more lives in the future if we reflect on the lessons that the pandemic taught us.
What about you as a doctor, as a husband, a father, on the personal level, the pandemic's toll on you?
Well, I admit I have PTSD, and I mean that very honestly. It was very jarring for me to be in a situation where I was trying to be the nation's doctor, but everything that I said and did was framed through the lens of politics. And not just on me, but on my wife, as I mentioned, who was dealing with stage 4 cancer at the time. And for my kids who had to go to school in Washington, D.C., which is a very political city. Their classmates knew who I was, and they had strong feelings one way or the other about the person who I was working for.
Dr. Adams tells me the first step in better preparing for inevitable future health crises is to check our biases. He says it's not his job as a doctor to declare who should run our country. His hope is that more of us share a goal to not let politics get in the way of our ability to have important health conversations. Drew Blair, Wish TV.